So now that the Trans Am is safely in the garage, it's time to finally get you in here for a good look at what we're working with. Every panel has a dent, every hinge droops, every inch of paint has a defect. Not to mention how we have entire sections of the car missing and being held together by bungee cords. But I'm not dismayed. I knew the hell I was getting into from the beginning, and I'm just excited to finally get started on bringing this car back to life. I'm just thankful that we're able to save this beauty before it got any worse. It's going to be a long journey, but let's get started on getting it back on the road. I'll run you over some of the more egregious problems with the car to start with, and diving right in, let's take a look at the trunk. So looking inside the trunk of this car, the trunk lid itself is actually in pretty good shape still. Just a very light spatter of rust here and there, and that can easily be cleaned up, but overall, the lid's in great shape. The same goes with the hinges here. Looks like there's just a little bit of surface rust. That'll clean out just fine. All the sills here are in great shape. Again, same here with this one. Until, you start getting down around, oh god, all of this. So the previous owner took apart the entire tail end here, leaving me just enough to figure out what was going on still. The tail panel here, the rear valance, just bits and pieces of it here and there. And I think this is actually part of the trunk pan itself. And we're going to have to piece it back together. And hopefully the aftermarket steel all matches up. So if you look into the subframe rails, they actually look really clean. Just a little bit of surface rust on them. Not bad the whole way through. The other side looks pretty much the same. And then the trunk extension panels here, they'll probably have to go on both of them, but they've got some rust towards the bottom. You'll see on the other side better, and kind of down in here, it's kind of hard to see. There you go. It's kind of missing some down here. This rear valance, like I said, is going to go as well. Then inside the trunk itself, we managed to cut away almost all the way forward, right where you see those humps right here. That's where the sheet metal that I have stops, so it looks like if we need to cut any further up, we've got the option to. So this other side's a little worse for wear. I mean, you can see the daylight rotting through that quarter panel. It's pretty bad, it's toast. Same with the trunk extension panel. It was rotted away, so he just cut it all away now, but at least he left the other side, because I didn't even realize how this piece connected here. So luckily he left a lot of that scrap metal on the other side, as well as this spot he chopped off here. Looking at that quarter panel from the outside, it doesn't look all that bad. You see a few little pock marks, but you look inside and it'll tell you a whole different story. I mean, here you can see very clearly it's been blown through in many places, so that's going to be delightful. All this red as well here. The previous owner didn't have any call on it, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's just Rust-Oleum'd it, and you can clearly see our favorite filler material in here. So they got some Bondo in here. Well, that's just metal there. So it looks like probably got nailed in the corner right here or something at one time, and they just tried to, like you can tell, this is bubbled up. This isn't a nice smooth run, kind of like how this is. It bubbles up right here, comes down. So you can tell whatever knocked into that definitely damaged this and sheared it off. So something had to have hit it at one point here. Hopefully it's no terrible cause that I have to dig into, but we'll see. One of the things I just absolutely love about this car, and the special editions in general, is just all this detailing, all the pinstriping, the tape that goes all the way around, splits up, it goes across the hood, all the way back. It flows for the entire car, around the rear window, up to the trunk lid there. Just gives that little extra touch. And then the 5 Featherbirds on the hood, sail panels, all that's just great. You can see on the door, it's been lost to time, but you can see the fading of that paint where it was originally. Obviously up here, for those of you in the know, this is not the correct hood that goes for this car, but he did purchase another one because the first one was damaged. and he included this in the purchase as well. This is actually the special edition Bandit hood that you see here. So that bird is actually the wrong bird, the color. It's actually pretty much reversed, and it's a 5-feather bird just like this one. We have a lot of sheet metal hanging around here right now. This is obviously your trunk pan. Here, like I was saying, this is how far we had up, just up to those bumps. So we'll have to see if it fits, if it's the right style, all that. All the sheet metal I got not knowing if it was the right stuff. So here we have, I think this is your rear right, I believe, seat pan. There's that tail panel here, rockers. This is a floor pan for, I'm guessing, this is the passenger side. Yep, and then here's the driver's side. I actually purchased this one because of some repairs that he had done internally here that I was not satisfied with. So we're going to go ahead and change it out and do it right. Continuing on with this side, much of the same. You still got your Rust-Oleum and probably some Bondo underneath there if I had to guess. However, this one's not dinged up and damaged here. You know, a few chips down in here, but we might be able... Oh, no, it's broken. There is one concern about this is there's little pieces in here which is kind of hard to see. Let me get you guys a camera. Camera? Let me get you guys a light. There we go, that's a little better. So you can kind of see where inside here there's some rust and it looks like things just didn't quite go right in here. And I really don't know what the original condition of it's supposed to look like. Same with up here, there's a little kind of a buckling right here. And I don't know, I mean this, honestly that sounds really thin at that point. And I don't know what piece that is. We're gonna have to figure that out. Then back here, just more of the same condition. Down here just below that skirt, we also have some rust starting near the rockers. Coming all along here though, the rockers do look pretty good from the outside. Internally they'll tell a little bit different story, but not bad. Over here we have all the rest of our pieces hiding out. Mostly the engine parts, some of the brackets, a couple extra taillights, and some of those trunk extensions in there, quarter panel, the whatever you want to call them, light bezels. You can see that they've got a little bit of that gold paint still left on them. That was another little marker of the Y88 special editions. And I think the Bandits had them as well, was the gold little light bezels here. It's almost rubbed off completely now, but it's still there, just barely. And then in here, all the rest of the internal plastics and everything that were moved out of it, including the console up there, and obviously the seats. We're lucky that all the glass is actually still in great shape. There's no big cracks or anything out of it. All the pieces are still here. I think we can reuse all of this. Just great. As for your floor pans, I mean, looking down in here, I mean, we've got holes for days. I mean, obviously you can see all of these, and it's very crispy metal. There's barely anything left there. And it goes right up into the toe board here, your toe panel, just a little bit, but I think we have just enough metal we can take it out. Here, this inner rocker, you can see it's blown through as well. So we're going to have to take out this entire inner rocker, and I believe we actually have that sheet metal all the way through. Down here, more of the same. Don't leave your cars in water, people. It doesn't help any. I promise you. On this side, though, we're actually pretty good. Very little rust on this side. Everything actually looks pretty good on the driver's side, except for this. So unfortunately, what you're looking at here, and the reason we have to replace this previously replaced floorboard here, was just the installation method was not done the right way, guys. Unfortunately, the previous owner had gone through and, well, they'd done some welding, and they actually looks like they started to. However, they lap welded this entire thing. So they stitched it and then they lap welded it. So there's actually metal underneath, probably a good centimeter to an inch, instead of butt welding it. And then here, for instance, they just kind of made a little, I don't even know what you want to call it, a little brace, just not the correct way to go about redoing it, and that's just going to lead to more problems later. I don't care how much seam sealer you've got, you're going to get water underneath those lap welds. And you can see, I mean, it's not continuous. If you had a continuous bead all the way around it, instead of stitch welding it, you know, you may stand a chance, but you'd have to do it on both sides. And still then you're going to get moisture, and water finds a way every time, and it's just going to re-rust out over and over and over again. Do it once, do it right. So the rockers on this one are actually really good. Coming all the way through, both outer and inner. To be in great shape. The only problem is they're up forward on whatever you want to call this piece here, right in the door jamb, the door sill here. So we're going to have to figure that one out. But I think where we're going to start, guys, is we're going to start by replacing this here panel, doing it the right way. We'll have to make sure we've got the right sheet metal for it and that we didn't get the wrong year or the wrong side and all that, just to make sure it should be good to go. The one worry I do have is, since it's already been welded once, at least, you know, marginally, spot welders and everything else, I mean, it's a massive hodgepodge of welding jobs in here. So when we cut it open, we may find worse problems. We may have to dig back further. I mean, you've got these bolt holes here. I imagine that's for the seat. But if we have to cut it back further, lift this up, and it's got rust here already, we're going to have to come back again even further. And I don't know if I have the sheet metal that goes all the way back. I think it stops just past these bolts here. So we'll see. But that's where we're going to start. What, you didn't think there was rust in the T-tops? You're out of your mind. You got a little bit going on in there, just like you do in these channels. On the other side, much of the same. You can see it from right there. It's got some rust. But overall, not bad as far as the rails go, the inner rails go. When we take off the rubber, that might tell us a whole different story. As for the rest of the car, internals, not bad actually. This dash is in amazing shape, to be perfectly honest. It's got a few little tears right here, but there are several shops that can go about getting that fixed. Glove box, well, it's empty. I don't quite know what this trunk button does. I'm assuming that releases the trunk. I mean, that, you know, 8-track, gotta love it. Oh, yeah, no, just leave that. It did come with the factory rear defog. Don't smoke, kids. And this one did come with, as one of the options, factory air. And the car has roughly 48,000 miles on it. I'm just kidding, it's 248? 148,000. Alright, so the first thing we got to do is remove the steering column cover. Basically this piece with the ball blower down here. It's got two plastic screws on the underside here. Oh. Okay, note. It's not screwing, it's just unlocking. So it's a quarter turn. Alright, next we have to remove two 8mm screws or bolts here and here. And that's going to unattach this bezel here, I guess, from the rest of the instrument panel. I guess we'll see. Alright, so next the manual says to drop down two 15mm nuts, which is going to be here and likewise on the other side here. And that will bring this whole column down, I guess, for sliding it out. The only problem with that is this big old bar's in the way, so I'm going to have to take those off. Okay, so there's two here. It looks like there's two up at the top, same size. There we go. Oh, see, no problem. Champions. So looking at this real quick before I drop this down, that panel there that kind of holds the whole steering assembly in place, I think it's going to tweak that if I try to drop this down anymore. Drop these out. So I think I'm going to take off that panel there, whatever you want to call it. Maybe just slide the whole thing out, you know? We don't need it in here for now, and it needs painted and everything else. Alright, sorry I lost you there for a little bit. Everyone got an old GoPro. It likes to overheat a lot and not last more than about 20 minutes at a time. We'll fix that soon. So, a couple things I did off camera. We went and removed all of the electrical connections that go to the column, your ignition, all the rest of your wiring too that hook onto the back of this. That plate ended up popping off in the back with just a little bit of wiggling, a little pushing from the back. And we disconnected the, whatever you want to call it, the steering column quick release. It's that splined connection. I'll go ahead and take a video from the other side or a picture so you can go ahead and see that. But that should get us completely free. And all things in theory, we should be able to drop that nut and the steering column will just come right out, right? It's that easy. Sure. It's not heavy, right? Of course not. Okay. Well. I have a feeling there's something hooking us up here. Okay, so something I've learned. You have to have the key in the ignition so that arm will unlock for the column lock. Take 4. Is that what comes after 9? Sure. Still feels like we're hung up on something, guys. But I think I can safely, maybe. Oh. Oh. Well, there it is. Okay. Column. According to the manual, this should... Oh. Okay. I know you guys can't see it, but this brushed metal looking bezel here was originally gold for the special editions, and I'll bring you in closer later and you can see underneath the trim piece here You can actually still see the gold underneath there. That's pretty neat. I'll go ahead. Well, you know, let's keep it over here. Alright. So apparently, it should be good enough. It says to be very careful as these can bend a lot, so we'll take her nice and easy. There you go. Just kind of make sure we're separated here. Oh, there we go. Use this. Oh. That might. Ah. That was keeping us on there. See what I say, kids? Smoking's bad for you. It can hurt you. In many ways. Hey, there we go. All right. There we go. Hey! Oh, it's so much easier. All right. All right. Very carefully, we'll go put this on the workbench. All right, next up we need to remove the speedometer cable, and we should be able to pull this instrument cluster out of here, or at least get better access to all the rest of our switches. It looks like we've got 4 8mm, maybe. There we go. Okay, we should be able to move out the instrument cluster now. Here we go. Going to work on unplugging these. Oh. Got it. Alright, now we're just going to keep on removing clusters and switches, and basically everything that has an electrical connection has to come off, or a vacuum connection. There we go. Really? Alright, so now that we've got all the switches, gauges, and other appurtenances off of the dash, we're going to release the 3, I believe it's 10mm here and here, bolts that hold the soft dash here to this metal part of the dash. So if everything goes right, it should just pop off. Well, that's a good sign. Oh shit. Ta-da! Well, we managed to get the dash out. Still needs to undo a lot of electrical connections in the back, but for now that's where we're going to leave it till tomorrow. Alright, so we got all the wiring harness pulled out, fuse, everything on the inside that was there that we weren't able to tuck up and away out of here. However, I'd really still like to get the brake booster off. I've disconnected it here from the brake lines and it should just pop off. Well, how many more threads? There it goes. Wow. Come on. There we go. All right. So we'll go inside and hopefully drop that steering column bracket from above. It's looking pretty rusty, so let's get you in there. Alright, so this is that rusty steering column connection we got to take out, and actually I think we've got all the electrical disconnected. We should just be able to take this out. Oh, guess it would help to remove that. Alright. Look at that. Alright, now that I've got y'all in here, let me give you a tour of the floor pan and why this has to come out. So as you can see, he did stitch it up here a little bit, not very well. I mean, a lot of these welds have come off now. Looks like he spot welded them probably from the other side. We'll show you from the bottom side, but he way overlapped this metal, like a good long ways. Top of that, just by lapping this metal, this new metal over on top of the old metal, you're gonna get rust. I mean, you can even see it in here. You're gonna get rust all through there, and he didn't get very good welding penetration here. A little bit of a cold weld on here. So we're gonna fix this. We're gonna do it all good with butt welds in here. And then you got areas just like this, where it's obviously just cut it away, and instead of completely removing it or getting the pan up to the inner rocker or anything like that, he just kind of shoved it in there. So unfortunately, what could have been a good repair at one time leaves us with quite a conundrum. And then even up here, I mean, you guys can see there's, you know, holes just right in here. The new sheet metal, you know, has rounded bits to it that it should tie in. And then whatever nonsense this bracket was here. And again, you can kind of see in that crack up in there. So the good metal actually from here, and I could see, actually comes down pretty far, almost to where that tack weld is there. So, I mean, you've got blow through here. It's just, it's not great, guys. This is probably the last bit of actual metal below it. So there is some decent metal in there. We'll have to find out, but next part, I gotta tear this out. So hang with me. Unfortunately, that's where we're going to leave off for now. Work really sapped my hours this month, and I didn't get as much done as I would have liked. Next time, we'll get the driver's side floor pan off, assess the damage, and hopefully get a new pan put in. Thanks for watching. See you next time.